Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. How are you guys all doing? Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you had a good Monday. For those who weren't there this morning, I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you're ready for the week ahead. I just want to let you guys know before we go any further. After the live stream, I'll be on the Discord and I will provide a link in the general chat of where I will be because there's quite a few voice chats. So on the Discord server. So if you want to join me for an after chat after the show, you're more than welcome to do so. I'll be on for about an hour max. So if you guys want to join me for a chat about anything, politics, mental health, whatever, feel free to join me for that. Another thing as well, the mental health live stream that I had planned for Wednesday, I have moved it to Thursday evening. So the mental health live stream will be coming this Thursday. So if you want to join me for that, you're well and welcome to do so. Welcome to Reganelite's Viewpoint, episode 115, where we cover stories and news coming from the UK. We have 6 stories to look at tonight, plus 2 funny videos to go, along with it. So I hope you guys get a laugh out of these videos along with me. I want to say hello to Avial Lamp. Good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. Jow, one of our moderators. Do check out Jow's YouTube channel. He's got a YouTube channel as well. If you want to give him some love, check out his content. Stephen Banker, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. It's weird not recognize. It's weird. You've not got the Scottish icon anymore in your icon there. I noticed. So I was just like, oh, it's very. You look different. It's like someone who gets a haircut. You're just like, oh, you changed. Something's changed about you. Good to see you. Scott Hayes, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Person impersonator as well, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. And anybody else in the chats, and Giles provided a link to the Discord. It is in the description as well if anyone wants to know, but I'll remind you guys later on in the live stream as well. So I want to start with a topic that I didn't really cover too much this morning, and one I kind of want to dive into a little bit here and explain it here from The Guardian, because that really is the big topic of today. And that is who is running to be the next Labour deputy leader. So candidates will need at least 80 nominations to stand a chance of succeeding Angela Rayner in the role. There's a lot of candidates. One that seems to be the odds-on favourite is Emery Thornberry, from the looks of it there. Excellent video for today from Michael Spicer. Oh, I didn't check his channel. Oh, well, we might miss that one. I'll have to save that for another time, then. Richard Burden's not going to... Richard Burden, I don't think is going to get it. I don't think it's going to be... I don't think it's going to be... it's going to be... do I honestly think this is going to... Do I think this is game-changing? I honestly think whoever's going to get this role is going to be there with the intention of ousting the Prime Minister. I don't think it's somebody that's going to be there with the case of wanting to stand up for Keir Starmer and for the Labour government. I think it's just a case of who is going to power grab this moment, this opportunity. And that's the kind of the way I see it here. I generally don't think, no matter who the candidate is going to be, I just don't think it's going to be in the interest of Labour and in the interest of the party, and certainly not in the interest of the public. I just don't think that the ones who I would like it to be, I just don't see it happening there. I mean, the one that sticks out there I can see out of this picture here is Richard Burton, because I do think he's a good person out of all of them. The rest of them I'm very skeptical of. Obviously Lucy Powell there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. But generally want to know, you guys, who do you honestly like? Who do you think here should be the one deputy leader? Who should be Labour's next deputy leader? Who you guys think it should be? Generally want like your thoughts on this as well. Ellie, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. So we'll have a look at some of the different candidates. The battle to become Labour's next deputy leader is moving fast, with hopefuls needing to amass at least 80 nominations by Thursday evening, so it's not a lot of time, with several people having already ruled themselves out. Here are some possibilities and probable runners. So as someone, Emily Thornberry is the one that's the favourite currently. As someone from the backbenches who is nonetheless a cabinet level Heath, and who is seen as independent but not a credible rebel. Thornbury is one of the more likely people to reach a nomination threshold. An MP since 2005, Thornbury was Shadow Attorney General for nearly 3 years, only to be dumped by the front bench by Keir Starmer after the general election. She has since become chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee. One possible barrier for Thornbury is the fact that, like her leader, she is a North London MP, and in fact her constituents adjourned some MPs and members both preferred a wider geographical spread. Now, that would actually not be ideal to have the leader of the Labour Party and the deputy leader to be both North London MPs. That's not exactly ideal there. But she is currently the odds-on favourite to succeed the role currently. Scott, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Bridget Phillipson, yes, she's the Education Secretary, one of the few cabinet ministers to stay in the same job after last week's reshuffle prompted by Rayner's departure. And this could count against her if MPs want their deputy to be a more voice for the rank and file. But in Phillipson's favour, she would be some ways be a like-for-like replacement for Rayner, representing a northern seat, Hudson and Sunderland South, growing up in a council home in Washington, making it from a state school to Oxford University. Generally, like many MPs and the membership, Phillipson has been a dynamic minister, even if her flagship school bill attracts some criticism. So obviously, someone who actually making it from a state school to Oxford University is kind of pretty cool. I don't know enough about Bridget to say, yeah, I definitely would back her. I mean, she's been okay as education minister, also, but she's been in the role pretty much since the start of government. But like I always say, things take time. I personally would like her to stay in her role. I don't think I would want to be deputy leader because I just think the role that she has suits her. But I think if she was to get the nod, it would certainly be quite fascinating to say the least there. And just see what me, either Stephen, but she's the only one I know. Yeah, the problem is not everyone knows about every single Labour minister or member that could potentially there. There's quite a lot of people looking at it. So Lucy Powell would bring a similar geographical balance to, Phillipson, given her Manchester constituency. So someone up in Manchester, but also some of Thornbury's outsider status, having lost her job as leader of the Commons in last week's reshuffle. Her former job helped Powell make links with Labour MPs, and as someone on the party's soft left, she would be likely seen as sufficiently independent of Downing Street without panicking the team around Starmer. Yeah, but the fact that she was cast aside in the reshuffle, that's not a very good look there, is it, to be fair? And what's become something of a theme, the newly minted Housing and Communities Minister moved on Friday from her employment brief, also represents a northern seat, Birkenhead, Alison McGovern, and is sufficiently soft left to potentially make MPs and members think that she could offer an alternative view to number 10. Popular and admirable, Miss Governance has been an MP since 2010 and was a councillor in Southwark and South London before then, and she knows the party inside out. Well, she's been around since 2010, so 15 years as an MP. That kind of experience is definitely helpful to her as well. Sarah Owen, only an MP since 2019. Owen is relatively little known outside Parliament, beyond her North Luton constituency. She has gained a reputation for being an effective and energetic MP and Commons performer, particularly in her current role chairing the Women's Inequalities Commission. The first MP of South East Asian background, her mother has Malaysian Chinese heritage. Owen, who was also on the moderate left of Labour, seems set for a front bench career, but resigned as shadow levelling up minister in 2023 at protests at Labour's stance over Gaza. The stance over her position on Gaza is as strong as that. I don't see her getting the role, and the fact that she's only been an MP since 2019 as well. But having said that, Keir Starmer has risen quite quickly as well. Stella Creasy, this would not be Creasy's first tilt at the job, and the Walthamstow MP pointedly refused in a BBC interview on Monday to rule herself out. Back in 2015, she came second to Tom Watson in the members' vote to succeed Harriet Harman as deputy party leader. Creasy is hugely experienced and highly effective backbench MP and a successful campaigner, if not always an instinctive team player. Doesn't really say enough about her to say, yeah, definitely her. And then Richard Burden, one of a list of possible representatives on the more robust left of Labour. The Leeds East MP was Shadow Justice Secretary under Jeremy Corbyn, but is now one of the more vocal critics of Starmer from the backbenches. If he did stand, Burton can struggle to reach 80 endorsements, not least because of the feeling that if Labour cannot elect a female leader, the deputy should be a woman. Yeah, I do not see Richard Burton because he speaks out. No, he speaks out, but he doesn't speak out enough to get kicked from the party, shall we say? He hasn't done enough of it to get kicked from the party, but I do think that there is absolutely no way he will get the numbers to get it. There's no way he will get the numbers. Right now, I think Bridget Phillipson and Embry Thornberry do seem like the likely choices, but I think we'll have to see obviously on Thursday what the nominations will be, and that will kind of tell us a lot of picture about who could possibly be it. But there's still quite a few other candidates that haven't been mentioned that could potentially get the nominations as well. It's going to be interesting to say the least there. Labour will do me in long before Reform UK at the rate that they're going, says Ellie. Good evening, James Connolly. Hope you are doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. If they annoy me, they'll know about it. I know my rights, says Ellie. Honestly, couldn't give a flying feck about Labour or its claim a gangster system banker. To be honest, I don't blame you for that, but I still think, obviously, who the next deputy leader could be interesting, because it's very possible that that person could end up becoming Prime Minister. It's highly unlikely, but it is a possibility. It's not in the realms of impossibility, that is for sure, guys. What is quite interesting is the new Home Secretary. I'm still quite surprised by this decision, but there we go. So this is from Sky News, that UK should suspend visas from countries that do not agree migrant return deals, says the Home Secretary. Shabima Mahmood said her top priority is to secure the border and said the government is considering rolling out digital ID. I honestly thought Yvette Cooper was the right person for that job. I honestly thought she was. Obviously, the decision that she made to designate Palestine Action as a terrorist group has been one of the biggest mistakes I think she made as Home Secretary out of all the decisions that she made. That was one of the biggest ones that she's done in her time. I'm really hopeful that they reverse that decision. Because if they don't, they're going to get humiliated in the courts. They're going to lose in the courts eventually on this. Yeah, whether it's in the UK courts may, and they can appeal as much as they want, but they will push this to the European Convention of Human Rights if they have to, because they're not a terrorist organisation. As for the new Home Secretary, I think it's too early to be critical of her. Do I think she's going to make a difference? No. Do I think she's going to stop the boats? No. Because we all know how the boats are really going to get stopped. And that is if we set up safe and legal routes, which is something that this government is not keen on doing. So I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. Now, rolling out digital ID, I think we talked about this last week. Again, like it's not going to stop people crossing over on the boats. They're still going to keep coming across whether people like it or not. It's not going to change anything. Good evening, Simon says 55. Hope you are doing well. Just a reminder as well, we are on twitch.tv/Reganelite1 as well. So if you're on Twitch, feel free to say hello over there on that platform as well. But this whole securing our borders nonsense, it's not going to work. It's we keep hearing it over and over again. What's that? Basically, Farage was making too much headway and Cooper was seen as not playing a good enough media role to counter it. Well, the problem is that Labour are not... So here's the thing, and this was mentioned in the Sunday roast if people didn't watch it. The problem is that they are not controlling the narrative, the government. And they can control the narrative if they want to. And it really is a case of them needing to take control of the narrative. If they want to be the ones deciding the narrative, the media, being the talk of the day, they're the ones who need to have the press conferences every single day. They need to have a spokesperson or someone every single morning talking about the agenda for the government, because they don't control the mainstream media. And Farage is always talking. Richard Tice is talking. Reform stooges are always talking. If they're not talking, they're tweeting. If they're not tweeting, they're doing a TikTok video. If they're not doing a TikTok video, they're posting on Facebook. They're doing something. They're always putting information out there. And Labour are not doing anywhere near the levels that Reform are doing. So if they want to control the narrative, they know what they need to do. Good evening, Dave McGuinness. Hope you are doing well. Here, illegal simply cannot work. So we just tell people to leave and try again via legal routes. Anyone employing illegals is jailed, not even a fine. It's jailed, and everyone has ID. Well, that's because your governments and institutions in Portugal apply common sense. That is not applied here when it comes to the UK. So the UK could suspend visas from countries that do not play ball and agree to return deals from migrants, the new Home Secretary has said. So speaking to broadcaster Shabina Mahmood repeatedly said that her top priority is secure borders and called on countries to take back their citizens who do not have no right to be in the UK. This is empty threats. This is not going to stop anything. This is not going to stop. Like if you say to a country, you're going to take back migrants, and if you don't, we're not going to take any more visa applications. It's not as simple as that. It could be a case of there may be, like, for example, if India has a particular trade deal with the UK where they need to take a certain amount of applications on migrants there. It's not like you can force their hand. It's an empty threat, and it's not going to stick to anyone. I just feel like this is rhetoric to try and appeal to some of the red meat voters out there, which is just not going to work. I just feel like this is kind of like a dead duck sort of thing. I'm Quiet Badger, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. And the government is under vast pressure to stop small boats crossing the English Channel, with over 30,000 people arrived so far this year, including over 1,000 people on Saturday alone. Yeah, 1,000 people on Saturday, that's really, really bad. 30,000. I mean, it's like, yes, the numbers are excessive right now. But again, like, the number is always a case of, unless you create safe and legal routes, this is just going to continue to happen, unfortunately, which is very, very frustrating. Martin, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well as well in the chat. So the new Home Secretary is hosting her counterparts from fellow members of the Five Eyes Intelligence Sharing Alliance, in which the US, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand to discuss what more we can do to work together to make sure our borders are secure and that citizens feel safe. Citizens feel safe, yeah. Speaking to broadcasters during the summit, Ms. Mahmood said, for countries that do not play ball, we've been talking about how we can take much more coordinated action between the Five Eyes countries. For us, this means including possibly cutting the visas in the future. Just to say, we do expect countries to play ball, play by the rules, and if one of your citizens has no right to be in our country, you do need to take them back. She repeatedly vowed to do whatever it takes to stop small boats crossings, and she rejected the suggestion that she's emulating policies already proposed by other parties, saying this is a Labour government with Labour policies, Labour proposals. Okay, well, it's not working again. I don't know how many times I need to repeat this. Like, they're just saying the same rhetoric over and over again. We've been looking at this for some time. Sure you have. I'm sure you have. It's been discussed already across the government, and I'm very clear that there has to be a strong approach to maintaining our borders, even though we're an island surrounded by water, but okay. And that does mean saying to countries that we do not take their citizens back, that we're simply going to allow our laws to remain unenforced. But the Shadow Home Secretary Chris Twat said, all we get from Labour are tough words. I urge them to immediately use the powers which the last government created some months ago, but nothing has happened. We should also cut overseas aid to countries for not taking back their own nationals. How nasty is this man? How nasty is Chris Twat here, who wants to cut overseas aid, considering that it's already brutal enough? Yeah, it doesn't matter if your children are starving. It doesn't matter if your school is not going to get built or your country's not getting enough education. We're going to cut the aid budget because you guys aren't taking enough of your migrants. Like, how nasty can you really be there? Jao says they are using the immigration crisis as a political tool. Solving it would end half of your troubles, and doing it is what other European countries would solve it. Last week, 30 illegals arrived here. They were not political asylum seekers. They were all were deported here. Chris Twat, yeah, I'm sure that's what his surname is. Did I mispronounce it? Oh, sorry, Simon. I mispronounced his name. This Labour government is too weak to take the steps necessary to protect our borders. I see no time to change it anytime soon. This is very funny coming from Chris Tratt and his political party. When they were in charge for 15 years, I'm sure they did a great job looking after the borders, stopping the boats crossing over. I'm sure they did a great job doing that, didn't they? I'm sure Chris did a terrific job. Ms Muhammad also suggested that the government could roll out digital ID as part of the measures to prevent illegal working and reduce the pull factors that draw migrants to the UK. While she has long been personally in favour of them, she said the government's position is to look at them, and she will be discussing the possibilities of rolling them out with the government colleagues. The Home Secretary also reiterated that the UK will not be leaving the European Convention on Human Rights, as Reform UK and some other Tory parties have called for, because that would have other consequences that we think are not in our national interests. The main culprit of obviously leaving the ECHR is that you and I and everyone in the UK would lose our fundamental human rights, because if we lose a court case in the UK that we think is unfair and we can't go to a higher court, an international court, we won't be able to, because we won't be part of the European Convention on Human Rights. So basically the rights that we would have would be taken away from us. Yeah, so it makes, so it really is. I'm glad that Labour are sticking to this, but it does worry me that the Conservatives are considering this as well. It's absolutely insane that they're considering wanting to leave the ECHR as well. Just shows just how nuts the Conservatives have gone. So we absolutely see the case for reform primarily in our domestic legal framework and tighten up the rules, she said. In the end, this is about how you strike the balance between human rights on the one hand and securing our borders, and I do think that balance isn't in the right place at the moment, and that's why we will come forward with changes to our domestic legislation and the guidance in terms of how we apply some of the convention rights legally here at home. She added that she will continue work she started in her previous post of Justice Secretary to reform the convention and ensure it is fit for purpose in the modern era. Ms Muhammad's comments come on the third day of her new role as Home Secretary, in which she was given a wide-range cabinet and ministerial shuffle triggered by the resignation of Rayner. We're going to talk a bit about her later, guys. As Housing Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister on Friday, after admitting to underpaying stamp duty on new property. There was a clear-out ministerial team in the Home Office with new ministers brought in as the government seeks to get a grip on small boat crossings and close asylum hotels and protests. The Dover MP Mike Tapp, a strong proponent of taking tough measures to break up criminal gangs and stop the boats landing on British shores, is one of the MPs that has been given his first ministerial role in the Home Office. Okay, well, we'll see how he does, but I don't have much hope there. Why are we demising refugees? So Jeremy Corbyn there. That's 11 minutes 33, so I'm not going to play that. Government considers military sites for migrants. Yeah, this has been a topic of discussion as well. That the government, that John Henley, the Defence Secretary, has been the government been looking at using former RAF bases and military sites as a place to basically dump the migrants rather than just getting them in the hotels in proper accommodation there. As a desperate ploy to kind of just say, look, we are dealing with the issue. Look, we're dealing with the issue. We're closing the hotels. It's pretty desperate from the government, but it's also important to, like, the fact that as well that you have to remember that it takes time to fix things than it does to break things down. And we have to remember that the Conservatives have left a massive mess. And it's important to remember that we are in this hole because the Conservatives dug us in this hole. And yes, there are parts of this hole that, and I know it's a weird analogy, but we're in this big hole that the Conservatives dug us in. And ideally, we would like Labour to build this ladder to get us out of this hole. But instead of building the ladder up, they're actually digging more holes. That's actually not beneficial to us, which is the problem there. You guys are talking about something else there. So I think people are scared of reform, and that's why they ask are people scared of reform and why they think that, says Billy Kershaw. Billy, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Ask where you would go if your home became a hellhole. Yeah, people live in terrible. There are some people around in the UK that really live in UK. They really live in terrible conditions, and they have no help. They have no one to help them. It's really, really sad. I really do feel for people who really have literally nothing. It's incredibly difficult for many of them. Speaking about tax dodgers and whatnot, there was this whole campaign and whatnot to get rid of Angela Rayner, but I don't see the mainstream media talking a lot about this one. The fact about Nigel Farage's tax affairs. from stamp duty to GB News earnings. The Reform UK leader said he was not inclined to publish his personal tax return. Well, what have you got to hide, Nigel? What have you got to hide? We know this man is you know, you want to talk about someone not paying their fair share of tax. I don't need to see this man's accounts to know that this man is not paying his fair share of tax. I don't need to see his tax numbers to know that there is not something fishy about this man. Literally, he was asked the question by Bev Freebie on Sky about a house he bought, and immediately he said, it's not my house, it's my wife's. Even though he literally said a few days ago it was his house. Like, that just screams tax dodger all over it. The man is a tax dodger. He really, really is. But, you know, because it's Nigel Farage and not a white working class, not a white working class woman like Angela Rayner, who actually knows what it's like to work to actually struggle and get by. No, because we got a man here with a silver spoon in his mouth, everything exactly the mainstream media want, we're going to ignore any kind of tax dodging whatsoever from Nigel Farage. He has said he will not publish his tax returns despite growing public scrutiny. And despite Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak publishing their returns, the Reformer UK leader told the BBC he was not inclined to do so. I haven't published my own personal tax returns, he said. I personally think that's an intrusion too far and I don't believe it's necessary. Yeah, because you obviously got something to hide. Here the iPaper takes a look at the tax arrangements that have seen Farage come under criticism from political opponents. Stamp duty tax. The Clacton MP claimed last year to have bought a house in his constituency, but the property is actually owned in the name of his partner. So if Farage had bought it, he would have had to have paid the highest rate stamp duty because it would have been classed as his second home. Because it's his partner's main home, she's only paid standard stamp duty. The actual bill Farage had made the purchase would have been £44,000. And last November, Farage told Sky News he had just exchanged contracts on the house. I bought a house in Clacton. Yes, he bought a house in Clacton. So he bought the house in Clacton. No, my wife bought the house in Clacton. But he clearly stated here he bought a house in Clacton. He told Sky News when he had previously referred to his home that he shouldn't have said I should have said we. It's her money, it's her asset. I own none of it, but I just happened to spend some time with her. You know, if you really wanted to not shoot yourself in the foot, Nigel, you could have just said, you know, my wife bought a house there, and I'm going to be using that. I'm going to be using my wife's house in Clacton as a proven ground. Farage has rejected accusations that the property was bought in by his partner's name to avoid extra stamp duty. There are no suggestions that he has broken any rules or owns any unpaid tax to HMRC. No suggestions, but that doesn't mean to say that he hasn't broken any either. Nimish Shah, the chief executive at business advisory firm Bling Rosenberg, says such arrangements are not an unusual thing for couples to do to reduce their stamp duty bill. He said he and his partner decided what was best for him to buy their property 7 years ago because it already owned a flat. Yeah, even though he said it was his house. Just saying. They even delayed their wedding to avoid being hit by an extra stamp duty, which would have been applicable if they had been married. Andrew Brooker, partner at GB's account, said, looks to be a straightforward and legitimate outcome for how this legislation is written. Stamp duty is assessed on the purchase, so if Farage's partner bought the property, then the liability arises solely on her, he said. That may mean a lower overall bill, but that is simply how the law applies in these circumstances. Yeah, so it just feels a bit fishy to me, you know. I don't like the way stamp duty is done. So Farage is reportedly using a private company to reduce his tax bills on his GB News appearances and other outside employment, according to The Guardian. So all payments for his GB News work are paid directly to his company, Fawn in the Side Limited, of which he is the director and the only shareholder. He has other paid roles, including as a brand ambassador for Gold Bulletin Firms, a speaker at international events, and a columnist for the Daily Telegraph. The company also owns 2 investment properties. Like, you see all this, right? And I just say, like, if you explained, like, what Farage has got, all this kind of stuff, right? And you explain this to a reform voter, carefully, slowly, they would still, you know what they would probably say? They would probably turn around and say, well, he's done pretty well for himself. And it's just like no, he's just charlatan. If you said all this, right, and they'll say he's done pretty well for himself, and then you say, oh no, this is actually Keir Starmer, they'll say this is an absolute disgrace. Spokesperson for Farage told The Guardian,
Thorn is in the side. Limited has traded for 15 years and has a variety of interests. It renders the service of central contractors as a property functioning company. Farage has made nearly £400,000 from GB News since August 2024 for about 190 hours work, according to the Parliamentary Register of Interest. I wouldn't mind, getting £400,000 for just working 190 hours work. The latest accounts show the company is worth £2.6 million. Shah said people have a variety of income sources can set up firms like this one. Quote, it's not an uncommon arrangement if you are someone who's got lots of different businesses interested, which clearly Nigel Farage does, he said. Because of this arrangement, Farage will only have to pay 25% corporation tax on these earnings instead of income tax, which goes up to 45%. Yeah, this is the bollocks here. Corporation tax and this is bollocks here. Need to do something about that. However, Sai said if he wanted to take money out of the company, he would likely be liable to pay dividends tax. Dividends tax goes up to 39.35%. So for people who want to be able to access a lot of money, this setup may not be cost effective. However, if Farage is happy to leave money in the business, he can do things like reinvest it. So I said this sort of arrangement doesn't work for people who have a single employer, but to set themselves up as a contractor to save tax. The government have really clamped down on that sort of activity, he said, and Brooker said that the reported arrangements are fairly typical and squarely within the framework of UK tax law. As long as he is not seen to be disguising his employment at GB News or any other firms that contracts him, he will not fall foul of the rules, he added. Yeah, this is why we need to change the rules, because it's just not right. He's a vile little entry system banker, yep. When Farage was an EU MP already, his mandatory tax returns were fishy, says Jow. I'm going to detest Farage even more over the years. First time I saw him was in the EU Parliament, and he sounded like the dirty toe rag twat that he is today. Yep, it's true. A disguised employee, he is. Disguised employee who is a contractor who all intents and purposes fulfills the same role as a permanent employee, but is hired as a contractor and paid through their limited company. There have been a number of high-profile cases where HMRC took TV presenters to court, saying they were employees, not contractors. In some cases were won, but others were lost. Blogger pointed out that if Farage were to pay himself a salary using his private company, he would still be liable to pay income tax. So the way to come to Britain is the way to make money is to come to Britain to con the tax office. If you're Nigel Farage and you know, if the thing is, what helps him is that he knows people as well. That helps him to understand this stuff. And if you know the rules and knows how the system works, then yes, you can avoid paying proper tax. In 2013, Farage admitted setting up a trust fund in offshore tax haven was a mistake. He had paid a tax advisor to set up the Farage Family Educational Trust 1654 on the Isle of Man. Farage told the Daily Mirror his financial advisor recommended that he do this for inheritance tax purposes to help his children and grandchildren with things like school fees. So essentially to dodge inheritance tax, right? He told the BBC he soon began to feel a bit uncomfortable setting up the fund and wound it up many years ago without choosing to use the vehicle for anything. There's never an intentional avoidance to evade tax in any part in any way at all, he said, saying that he had in fact lost money as a result of the arrangement. Should not have bought the policy, it was an error, he added. So he has been approached for comment regarding all these. But yeah, I do remember this story, but it didn't really stick enough yet on it. But again, just because we don't know all about his taxes, so it doesn't mean to say that he isn't dodging taxes in any way, shape, or form. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are Prime Minister, do you not have to share all your taxes details? Because here's the thing, I'm worried that when he becomes Prime Minister, and I do believe he will become Prime Minister, unless a miracle happens, he will be hiding his tax affairs from us. That's a thing I'm probably still more concerned about as well. Farage is probably still reeking his salary from Putin, says Jow. Yeah, probably. Probably through like third parties and whatnot sort of thing. Farage is probably still receiving his salary. Said that already. Make accounting illegal apart from government would sort it also, says Scott. Yeah, it would be. But then you expose the other corrupt politicians and MPs. They wouldn't want that to happen. I think Farage still has his German passport, which he applied for the day after the Brexit vote. Yeah, maybe, did Farage apply for the resettlement scheme? Maybe he shouldn't be in the country. Mind you, though, I heard he likes going to America quite a lot, so maybe he should go there. Maybe he should go there. Yeah, I think Farage should consider going there, guys. Speaking of America, I do think he should go there a bit more. You know, it's not like that he isn't well known over there anyway. So I've got a funny video for you guys. About halfway through, I want to say thank you guys for being here. We've still got plenty of content to come. Just a reminder, guys, after the live stream, I'll be on the Discord chat. I will post a link on the general chat on Discord where the voice chat will be, if you guys want to join me for that after the show. I'll be on for about an hour in the voice chat. I won't be staying any longer than that. But if you guys want to join me for that, you're more than welcome to do so. But I'm going to take this hat off for the moment because I have a funny video I want to play for you guys. So you guys remember on last Wednesday, for those who were there, Jamie Raskin gave Nigel Farage a nice rundown. Well, we're going to hear it a little bit again. Not all of it, but about 2 minutes of it again. But this time, it's with the babies. Diaper diplomacy, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this.
I imagine that in a hearing about threats to freedom of speech abroad, we might hear from a Russian dissident about Putin's massive violations of political freedom, or the death of Alexei Navalny in prison, or perhaps a Chinese pro-democracy activist about President Xi's attacks on free speech in Hong Kong, Tibet, Xinjiang, or the persecution trial of Jimmy Lai, or maybe a journalist about the Saudi Crown Prince's assassination of Jamal Khashoggi, the Washington Post writer who demanded freedom from religious persecution and oppression in Saudi Arabia. But no, the dictators of the world have got nothing to fear from this hearing. The Republicans called it to attack our democratic allies in Europe. The star witness is not a human rights leader like Navalny, but a far-right, pro-Putin politician who leads the UK Reform Party, a party that has 4 members out of 650 members in the parliament. He calls England an authoritarian regime, while saying that Vladimir Putin is the world leader he admires the most. Well, this hearing mimics Vice President J.D. Vance, who went to the Munich Security Conference in February. In the first 2 minutes of his speech, whitewashed the world's leading autocratic regimes, proclaiming that the threat that worries him is not Russia. It's not China, he said, but rather it's our European allies. Amazing. Republicans are promoting far-right parties in Europe, like Alternative for Deutschland, Reform UK, and Rassemblement National Français, and ignoring massive repression in Russia, China, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and among all the autocrats of the world. Republicans are vilifying European liberal democracies simply for engaging in the kind of line-drawing exercises that we Americans engage in under our First Amendment.
I do like the babies, guys. I do like the babies. Diaper diplomacy on Twitter. I'm pretty sure I would not be surprised if they've got a YouTube channel or a TikTok and whatnot. If you type it up, I'm sure they have. But I normally get them from Twitter if I ever do it. But because it had Nigel Farage, I wanted to share it. Share baby Farage. Freaky says April. Yeah, it is a bit freaky, to be fair. Don't worry, the last video is the last video I've got to show it won't be a freaky one. It will be it's a proper funny one as well, guys. Just a reminder, guys, if you guys can financially support me in any way and help to reach today's super chat goal, be greatly appreciated. If you can support, please feel free to do so. But if not, that's totally fine. If you can't support me in a non-financial way, best way to do so is hitting the like button, sharing this across social media, subscribing. Apologies, I haven't uploaded any Rumble or Patreon content yet. I will try and get some done tomorrow for you guys for the rest of the week. So I do apologise for that. But I've already got content out for YouTube members. So if you're not a YouTube member, do consider becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Gets you access to custom emojis and early access for additional content if you're a 199 member. You'll see there's a lot of content already available for members already. So thank you guys for your support. I greatly appreciate everyone being here. So this next story is an interesting one indeed. I don't know how serious this is, but I saw this story and I just thought this was worth perhaps looking at. Here. Oh, is this the Independent? Why is the, hold on, sorry. Why is it not got the full, I was going to say, it's not got, just about to say, why has it not got the full picture? Sorry, 1 second. I need to adjust the screen. For some reason, they've They've obviously been messing about with the screen. 1 second. Why did they do this? Is that fine? Yep, there we go. Apologies. So a pub manager whose boss suggests that he was a Nazi for not buying him coffee gets a payout. So a duty manager was subject to unlawful discrimination before later being unfairly dismissed over poor sales performance. Something doesn't feel right here. Now, pub manager's boss suggests that he was a Nazi for not buying him coffee, and he gets a payout for this. It really is a case now. For a lot of people these days, it's a case of always threatening to sue someone to get lots of money. But this is also a context of he said, she said as well. So it's entirely possible that they may not have made those comments, but we honestly don't know. But I suppose witnesses there may have said something differently. But generally curious about this one, guys. So it's a pub manager who claimed her boss suggested that she was associated with Nazi ideology after she didn't buy him a coffee and receive a payout for unlawful discrimination. The worker, named by the tribunal as Miss Sinclair, worked at an old toll bar in Glasgow, where she was told by director Ahmed Magli Solomon, "Oh yeah, I forgot you like white people better," after he discovered she had bought the drinks for a colleague, but not him. He then added, "How was Germany an employee tribunal heard?" Comments were made very soon after Mr. Solomon, aged 49, had told Mrs. Sinclair, "You look very Aryan with your blue eyes and blonde hair," the tribunal heard. This seems to have all been triggered here. Context is important, exactly. Seems to be all triggered by the fact that someone didn't buy somebody a drink, and it's based on their skin colour, allegedly. Miss Sinclair had no connection with Germany and said the remarks suggested that she was racist or associated with Nazi ideology and left her feeling awkward. Again, we don't know a lot of context, so... The judge, Shola McLean, ordered Miss Solomon and the company called More Blacks, More Dogs, More Irish Limited. That's a bit of a weird name for a company. It's a bit weird of a name for a company. To pay Miss Sinclair £2,000 for injured feelings as a result of unlawful discrimination. Like, that name in and of itself raises eyebrows for me. In a judgment, she wrote, the race-related remarks were unsolicited. Second respondent, Mr. Salome, appeared to divert satisfaction from the claimant's discomfort. Even if that was not the purpose, views objectively, it was reasonable in my view to have that effect. As the business owner, his comments on the claimant's race and appearance placed her in a difficult position. The second comment over the purchased coffee caused the claimant to review the first of a more troubled light. The thing is, that the fact that somebody allegedly didn't buy, the whole thing is weird. It is quite weird because, like, if you're buying like drinks around for like all your colleagues and you leave one colleague out just based on their skin color or based on their appearance or based on something that you say, that's definitely very, very fishy. That's very odd, 4 months on from the remarks, the tribunal heard that Mr. Solomon asked Mrs. Sinclair's line manager when she started working at the company, before she was unexpectedly dismissed over poor sale performance, shortly before her 2-year service in July last year. Dismissed over... when she started working in the company before she was unexpectedly dismissed. Okay. Under UK employment law, employees get a right to statutory redundant pay after completing 2-year service. Miss Sinclair was asked to leave on the spot and given no payment in lieu of notice. Heard the tribunal found no evidence of misconduct where Miss Sinclair was a valuable member of the team. Yeah, this screams wrong right here. This screams something's wrong here. Judge McLean, in her judgment, wrote that the dismissal appeared predetermined to avoid the claimant acquiring statutory rights, concluding it was an unfair reason. Yeah, that's definitely what it seems like to me. She ordered the company to pay her $14,000 That's not 14 million, is it? That's 14,000, right? That's not 14 million there. That's way too much to cover the loss of earnings after having Mr. Clare was on a free. Oh wait, it is 14 million. Jesus, Mr. Clare was on a 318,000. No, wait, that's 14,000. I'm going mad. No, ignore me. I was on £318.67 a week. Despite funding temporary work, continued to suffer financial losses. The tribunal, which sat in Glasgow on the 4th of August, did not hear from Miss Solomon, who said he could not attend due to ill health. Oh, couldn't attend due to ill health. Without providing evidence, Judge McLean wrote that while Mr. Clare's evidence was not contested, she gave it honesty and an understated manner. Yeah, it sounds like a very racist company. Or shall we say a very racist boss from the sound of it. I mean, I guess my question is, why would you work for a boss like that? I think that's my question there, but we don't really know the full context as well. A claimant who worked at the old trial bar said she felt awkward by a boss, so this is apparently the place where it was as well. A very odd story. It's thousands regularly. Yeah, I'm getting my numbers mixed up. I think I felt it was an interesting story to add, but generally wanted your guys' thoughts on it. My opinion is Solomon wanted to get it on, and she said no, says Jao. Yeah, somehow, you know what, Jao? Somehow these things around sex always seem to get involved with work, isn't it? The whole thing is weird. Sistine Banker. What the heck says over? What a name, says Jao. Yeah, 14,000. Thank you. It's 14,000. It's 1,000 regularly. Yeah, okay. Sometimes you don't know until you do, says Scott. And it's an odd one, isn't it? It is an odd one indeed. You know, guys, if you're somebody who's going to protect kids, you know, if you're somebody who stands up against the migrants, right, and you want to make sure I stand on the right side of history, you kind of shouldn't forget your own history as well, guys. An anti-migrant protester who wanted to protect kids is a paedophile. The YouTuber Anthony Styles is a child sex offender who was sentenced to 4.5 years in jail after indecently assaulting a school girl. AJ Adults, a channel run by Anthony Styles Center, has now been deleted. His channel has been gone, guys, so don't worry. But here he is. Who wants to protect kids, guys. He wants to protect kids. I'm sorry, I have to laugh, but it's not a laughing matter, of course. Of course it's not a laughing matter of what he did. But it's so fucking outrageous that this guy has the nerve, right, to claim that he wants to protect kids when he was sentenced for 4.5 years jail after indecently assaulting a schoolgirl. Like, you fucking piece of shit. Like, the fucking nerve. When we say that there's not a problem with people who are concerned about their kids, yeah, in these groups, and then you see a headline like this. This is the Times, by the way. This is from the Times, yeah? And I'm not always on board with things from the Times. But this screams a lot about the kind of people who protest and say, I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about where these migrants come from. Hey, one of the people in your fucking group is a paedophile. You're not going to say anything about that, are ya? How many times have I said about fucking white people? They don't say nothing about the fucking white people. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. An anti-migrant YouTuber who claims to promote the protection of women and children is filming protesting outside asylum hotels as a convicted paedophile. Anthony Styles, who channeled AJ Audits, don't search it up, it's gone now, amassed thousands of subscribers, became a fixated of far-right activism by live-streaming demonstrations against grooming gangs and immigration. Styles, 59 years old, recently recorded gatherings outside hotels in London and Epping during which protesters describe asylum seekers as sexual predators who make local girls unsafe. Many parents brought their young children along to the rallies. This is... Why would you take your children to these rallies? The kids just want to sit at home and play video games or go out to the park and do fun stuff, children stuff. They want to have fun, not sit there standing holding a placard. Which were organised after a small boat migrant from Ethiopia sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl from Epping, Essex in July. And I covered this in the video, guys, if you haven't seen the video. However, Styles has now been unmasked as a child sex offender who was sentenced to 4.5 years in jail after being convicted of indecently assaulting a girl under the age of 14. In 2017, he was put on the sex offenders register for life and handed an indefinite sexual harm prevention order. 5 years earlier, the YouTuber also admitted to sexually assaulting a 17-year-old girl and possessing hundreds of indecent images of children, for which he received a 3-year community order. This proves Witcher Goth is so right about certain white British men. She is. She is absolutely right. I need to get her on the channel. I apologise to her for not contacting her sooner. I need to get her on the channel as soon as possible because we need to have a chat together. His criminal record, who uncovered by activists from a group Stand Up to Racism. Well done, Stand Up to Racism, for exposing this bastard. Who spotted his name printed on a fake press pass. He made up for himself at a protest last month. Wow. They're so desperate to make himself reliable. He made a fake press pass. Times confirmed his conviction with the police this week. The most serious offence took place at a flat in Blackpool in 1993, where Styles sexually abused a girl as he sat on his knee after school. He was sentenced to Preston Crown Court for more than 20 years later in 2017. His victim, who cannot be identified for legal reasons, was known to him through his partner's family and frequently visited the flat after school. In a personal statement, she said that she had been psychologically affected by the assault. He was separately found guilty of possessing 307 indecent images of children among a collection of, not even saying that word, images and sexually assaulting a 17-year-old girl. That just makes me sick. Again, the channel is gone. Don't worry. And it's quite disgusting here. You can see all these viewers, all these people viewing this as well. His Styles channel had attracted thousands of subscribers. Absolutely disgusting. YouTube had no idea about this as well. Styles, who uses a wheelchair because of his degenerate illness, similar to multiple sclerosis, was jailed by Judge Robert Alban. The judge said the victim was in the habit of coming back to flats after school. It is one of those occasions where she was in the defendant's sole company in her school uniform, sitting on his knee as the defendant watched TV. He only ceased from his conduct when his partner was coming in, at which stage he got up. He was in a relationship as well. My God. He was in a relationship as well. Oh my God. Nothing was said at the time, but she subsequently raised it with her, and he made an admission of sorts. At the time, he passed it off as accidental touching. But in his trial, Style denied the events ever took place. She had described this as the incident that had significant effect on her. There is probably stated an abuse of trust in this case. This is a case where the family trusted the care of this little girl to the defendant. He was trusted to be alone with her. That's disgusting. Judge added that the more recent indecent conviction for assaulting a 17-year-old girl and possessing indecent images meant he could not be regarded as a man of good character. It is understood this conviction is now spent. Styles from Hemel Hempstead in Hertfordshire kept his convictions hidden from other protesters when he joined a series of anti-immigrant protests outside Hassan hotels. Yeah, no shit! No shit, you fucking bastard. Videos from his channel, which is now deleted, showed him attending demonstrations, which increased this summer after outrage over his Epping incident. He often records interviews with demonstrators who could be seen weaving between police and protesters in his wheelchair. Styles was part of various private groups on social media where his demonstrators were organised, including one called for the children. He has since been kicked out of the groups after being orchestrated for the anti-migrant protester movement as information about his conviction spread online. Good. This is fantastic news. As soon as people found out about him, they kicked him out of his groups. Very, very good. I'm very happy about this. In a video uploaded last month, Styles recording himself following a coach full of Asian men on the M25, claiming in a live stream that he was moving illegal migrants to another hotel. Quote, saying they are not welcome, they are illegal migrants. He can be heard saying that as he filmed the back of the coach from a car. His live stream of the pursuit led to the manager of the coach company receiving a flood of abuse, forcing him to stop the vehicle. Wow. The bastard was on a coach full of Asian men and making these accusations. That's so disgusting. That is so disgusting. About people. Like, he has no idea who these people are, but just because he's on a coach full of Asian men, he just makes the claim. What a disgusting individual. In the video, the manager gets off the coach and approaches Styles, begging him to stop spreading misinformation, explaining that no one on board was an illegal migrant and they were all legal agricultural workers. People have been threatening my family because of the footage, he told Styles, who then apologized, saying, we thought they were illegal migrants. No, they wasn't, you dumbass. Lewis Nielsen, stand up for racism and anti-fascist officer, said, these revelations show the far right have never cared about women's rights. They've been harbouring convicted offenders in their midst. The hypocrisy is off the charts. This man is claimed to be protecting women and girls while hiding his own convictions. Refugees aren't the threat to women. The real threat here is the far right fanboys of Elon Musk. This is why you cannot take. This is why these protesters, you can't take them seriously. When you this kind of a story like this is the kind of story you need to stick to glue to throw at people, to say to them, yeah, well, you know, some of your protesters might not be as clean as you guys claim they are to be. It does make me sick to my stomach, guys. It does make me sick to my stomach. I can guarantee you he wouldn't be walking out that fifth out of that fifth door, says Steam Banker. It just shows like any other. I don't watch it. These are actors like any other. Jal says these are the type of people that make scandals about drag queens reading stories to kids. Last time I saw one, both me and my nephew, the parents and the kids laughed and joked around. Nice niche people. Stupid is strong with some people, and the inseparable. Once somebody is exposed like that, that's when they get. You know, when you get exposed like that, you know, you just get what you deserve at the end of the day. You really, really do. Just a reminder, guys, I've got one last story for you guys. Just a reminder that after the show, I will be on Discord for an hour. So if you guys want to join me on the Discord, feel free to do so. The link is in the description if you guys want to join me on there for an hour. I'll be in the voice chat if anybody wants to come on and say hello. You're more than welcome to join me there. We can talk about politics. We can talk about anything you guys want to talk about. This last story we got is from Byline Times, guys. So it's from the Byline Times series of Labour in Power. Angela Rayner, understanding her pressures that cost her, the Deputy Prime Minister, her job. This is a piece written by Clive Lewis, the MP. Where once on a public service, even a sense of historical duty could command respect. Today, those values are dimmed in comparison in the pursuit of material positions, argues Clive Lewis, the MP. So, I'm really, really annoyed that Angela Rayner got caught with her hand in the cookie jar. It really, really does anger me so much because that she broke the rules. Okay? It really angers me a lot because she was the only person in that cabinet that had some shred of decency. And I say some, not counting, obviously, of course, all their inclined support for what's happening in the Middle East, just for the record. The only one that had a working class background, who knew what it was like for people who were struggling, who were going through hard times. She had the experience. She understood what people were going from. And yes, when you get clogged in the machine, it can change you like anybody else. And I agree with that. But she was one that came from the background of knowing where people have come from, guys. And to see her fuck up like she has done is really, really frustrating. It pisses me off so much. Because you're going to have somebody who's far worse as the next Deputy Labour Prime Minister. Deputy Prime Minister. Whether you like it or not. And I don't know whether or not she was going to build 1.5 million homes as a housing minister. But she should have done her job properly. She should have sought the tax, checked her taxes properly, spoken to proper legal people about her taxes, and she wouldn't have shot herself in the bloody foot and found herself in this position. So do I have sympathy for her? I have some sympathy for her, guys. And the reason why I have some sympathy for her is because she's been targeted by the right for so goddamn long. The Daily Mail have been desperate to get her. The Daily Mail, the Express, the right-wing nut jobs, they've been desperate to get rid of this woman. They have been desperate. Yes, there have been people in Labour wanting to get rid of her too. But the right was so desperate to get rid of this woman because they knew that if she ever came to power, she would be a major threat to them, just like Jeremy Corbyn would be. And she's now been ousted. And yeah, she shouldn't have lied, Steve Banker. You're absolutely right. She shouldn't have lied. And it really is just frustrating, to say the least. So let's read what Clive has to say on this. So one cannot help but feel a measure of sympathy for Angela Rayner. I know her well enough to say that she came into politics for the best of reasons, a desire to serve and a determination to improve the lives of people who struggled, and she understood from her own experience. But further up the ladder one person climbs in politics, the more insistent the temptations become. This is not simply about individual weakness or personal failings, it is structural. Over the past 40 years, Britain has built a society in which consumption, status and proximity to wealth have become defining figures of the political class. The gravitational pull of money is now so great that even those who arrive in Westminster with the clearest sense of purpose find their heads turned. Angela's story is not unique. She comes from humble beginnings, but the wealth that circles political life today is more concentrated, more brazen and more intrusive than the past. The old checks and balances, party rudeness and mass membership, trade union accountability and press-lating tales with orchestrated interests have all weakened. Where once honour, public service and a sense of historical duty could command respect, today those values are dimmed in comparison in the pursuit of material positions. The mechanism is subdued but relentless. It is not corruption but the brown envelope under the table sense, yet it is slow, almost invisible turning of heads. You are introduced to those who walk this path before you, former ministers who now sit comfortably in boardrooms or on the payroll of consultancies with 6- and 7-figure salaries. You are invited to corporate boxes at sporting events, to private dinners, to concerts and premieres, lavish clothes or spectacles that can be within the rules provided that they are declared, but by then the damage had already been done. The message is implicit but unmistakable. Play the game, listen to us, and you can enjoy more of this. The logic creeps into your personal life. You stretch to buy the house that can host the right gatherings. You measure your worth by the standards of a world that equates success with possessions and proximity to privilege. And once you are on that path, it is hard to step off. He's not wrong. He's so right. This is, of course, a simplification of a complex socio-economic and political process. By someone who came from a council estate myself, I can see it all around me in Westminster. It's not going to be changed by media witch hunts, the tugging of ethnic advisors, or the occasional burst of public outrage. As Gladstone once warned, nothing is morally wrong can be politically right. But in our current system, what is morally questionable is often too normalised, excused, and rebranded of just the way things are. Real change will only come from a collective decision to choose a different path, to stop outsourcing our state to private interests, to end the revolving door between government and corporate boardrooms, to challenge the idea that the role of politics is to serve vast concentrations of wealth. We can choose differently, and we can once again put community solidarity and public service at the heart of our political life. We can insist that worth is measured not in the size of one's house or the company one keeps, but in the contributions one makes to society and the integrity in one which serves. Until we decide as a policy to uphold those values rather than glittering prizes of private again, these scandals will not just reoccur, they will define the very character of our politics. Clive Lewis there, and I think it was a very fitting article to say that Angela Rayner went in with all good intentions and all this got thrown at her. And I'm not going to bullshit you guys. If I was in her shoes and I was given this kind of stuff, how could I not turn it away? The temptation is so there. It is so tempting for anyone, no matter how good-hearted you are. It's very, very tempting, especially a machine like that. Especially when there are so few of you who speak on the minds and that. It's the system. And as Clive says, it needs to be a collective of people, not just one or two people, but a collective of people who want to change that machine. It's really, really important. It got to her, and she made slip-ups, And their slip-ups cost her. He worked in his cabinet and was part of the party, says Jao. Former PM here, Costa, was betrayed by a school friend and co-workers. They used his name. He was not to blame, but he had to resign. He should have known he worked in his cabinet and was part of the party. What's that? Ellie's comment. I've sent a link to Discord, but I can't. Can you put it up here? It's relevant to the story before Rayner. 1 second. Let me have a quick look at your story, Ellie. See if I can find it. You probably, hopefully, you've put it in general chat. You did not put it in general chat, so I don't know where you've put it. Hopefully, you put it in UK news, so I can find it there. It's not there, so I don't know where you put it on Discord. I'm going to assume you didn't put it in the right places. So, yeah, sorry, I don't know where you put the link, but yeah, I'll have to leave it, I'm afraid. But I have to wonder if her tax advisors were actually from the cons of reform, or Unquiet Badger, as you give them it, or they were people within Labour looking to oust her, because there were always people in Labour that saw her as a threat and oust her. So they gave her the wrong information, and that wrong information is what led to this. So on it there. So, but either way, she's gone now. She's gone now. Guys, if obviously didn't get any super chats today, unfortunately. But before we go, we do have one funny video. So for those who aren't going to be joining us on the Discord after, I do have a funny video for you guys, just to see ourselves out. Some of you guys may have seen this video, some of you may not have seen this video, but I do hope you get a laugh out of it nonetheless. It was pretty funny when I heard it first time, so I hope you guys get a laugh out of this one here. She should have been double careful. I mean, here's the thing, like, obviously the people who advised her had to have been people within Labour. So it's easy to have said, when you've been in the party for so long, you get a bit comfortable around the people around you. Like, you could have said, oh, maybe she shouldn't have gotten people. It's easy to say in hindsight now, oh, she shouldn't have gotten advice from people within Labour. She should have got people from independents. Like, how was she to know that? This is the thing. Because you would trust your party because you've been with your party for so long, sort of thing. So I guess there's that perspective as well. Either way, it doesn't change the fact that she's gone now, unfortunately. But, I mean, she's going to be a backbench MP. I mean, I personally, if I'm honest, guys, I personally would like to see her leave the Labour Party altogether. I think she would be a valuable asset to your party or the Green Party, personally. But I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think that's going to happen. Anyway, guys, let's have a bit of fun. This is the real daily briefing from Larry and Paul, guys. This is apparently the real daily briefing. It's a bit old, but I think you guys will get a laugh out of this nonetheless. Hold on, it's the video. I hope that I'll just check something before I play. Yep, it'd be fine.
Emotionless greeting, acknowledging it's been over a year since we surged to victory on a wave of pessimism, deciding it's time to let you know what we've been doing, in case anybody starts to have a little inkling that there might be a small possibility that we could very well be...
Hold on 1 second, sorry. For some reason... Why is the video like that? Sorry, 1 second, guys. I think they've changed the... I think YouTube have changed the size because I normally put it into cinema, and they've changed the size. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to start again. There we go. Right, I'm going to start again.
Emotionless greeting.
There we go.
Acknowledging it's been over a year since we surged to victory on a wave of pessimism, deciding it's time to let you know what we've been doing, in case anybody starts to have a little inkling that there might be a small possibility that we could very well be disappointing and shit. Rejecting claims that I have been told to appear more human. Warm smile. Smile warmth 53%. Warning. Smile overload. Reset. My father was a toolmaker. My mother was a nurse. Bringing back the government briefings that the Conservatives started but insisting that we're totally different from the Tories by using exactly the same Russian-built briefing room, speaking from exactly the same lectern, and getting caught up in exactly the same scandals. Slight head tilt, engaging starber thumbs, working on new 3-part slogan. Plan for change. Fixing the foundations. Very disappointing year. Must stop reform. Farage must die. Error. Reset. Reboot. My mother was a toolmaker. My father was a nurse. Activating cling to power mode. Dismissing reports that we're terrified of a Farage landslide. Coincidentally, frantically, desperately looking at proportional representation now that we absolutely have to, along with giving votes to 16-year-olds, but shitting ourselves they might be as racist as their hotel besieging granddads. Happy though to see so many St George's flags. Nothing says national pride like a defaced mini roundabout. Denying that I'm anti-English. Some of my best friends are flags. My father was a flag maker. My mother was a flag malfunction. Load buy-off, lurching to the right, lurching to the centre right. Take it back now, y'all. Error, pleasing nobody, despite sudden movements. Taking question from journalist.
Wondering why Angela Rayner's tax error is fine when even the Tories sacked Nadeem Zahawi over his tax affairs.
My father was a toolmaker.
Not now.
Defending the Deputy PM, reminding you that she is from a working class background, so anything she does wrong should be forgiven.
Wondering if you'll sack her.
Remaining absolutely and unquestionably loyal to Angela Rayner until I decide not to be. Reminding you I always stick to my word until I don't. Finally, being a strong statesman on Russia's actions in Ukraine. Repeating that it is never appropriate to go wading into another country and cause a load of innocent death, unless it is. Please hold. Receiving funds from Israeli government. Arms deal complete. Genocidally complicit nod. Trustworthy, thank you.
God damn it, Israel! Oh, that's a very good one from Larry and Paul. Apologies for the screen there. I don't know why it was like that, but yeah, the real daily briefing. That was on the 4th of September, obviously, so it's quite a while ago. So you obviously, it was a couple of days ago, so you know that was before Rayner got the sack. But yep, I had complete and total confidence in the Deputy Prime Minister. Yeah, how did that work out? Didn't work out very well, did it? Did not work out very well, guys. So guys, I want to say thank you guys all for coming along here. Thank you guys for all your comments. I really do appreciate you guys being here and contributing here in the chat. I will be on Discord in a moment. I will ping the server. It will be in. I will ping the server where the voice chat will be, so you can join me there. So just bear with me. It's not going to be in general chat. I'm going to ping the server, so I'll provide a link here to you guys in a moment once I've ended the live stream. So just bear with me there. But if you can't join me for Discord, I'll be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. for another Good Morning show. So do join me for that. There'll be global news. Global news will be at 6 o'clock, if you guys can join me for that there. One of the quietest live streams of the week, so if you guys want to join me for that, for news outside the UK, feel free to join me for that. And then on Wednesday, got not one, not two, but 3 live streams there, where we'll have a Good Morning show at 8 a.m. Then we'll have Prime Minister's questions at 12 o'clock, and then followed by the Reganelite's watch along. And then on Thursday, we will have a mental health live stream, which we normally do after a couple of months. So do join me for that if you can. And then Friday, we will just have a morning live stream, because there's plenty of other amazing YouTubers on a Friday. So thank you again, guys. But before you guys go, if you can, for me, hit the like button. Share this across social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. Do check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.